Hi everybody, Florian speaking from Astoria.io. I'm with you today to share a few insight and key learning about the InsurTech activity across Europe based on data that we have gathered over the first half of this year. So maybe to start with, let's explain where the data trends are coming from. It's through our Astoria.io activity, which is basically a market watch slash scouting activity. We have a tool that helps us spot startup across Europe, not only in France, Germany, and the UK, but Italy, Spain, the Nordics, Eastern Europe. Obviously, we have a strong focus on insurance, and what is the most interesting part is that a third of our database is not on competitors one, meaning that we have a bit more than the other, which help us, I believe, have a clear overview of what's happening and anticipate what might happen next. That's long story short what I'd like to cover with you today. First, start with an overview of the InsurTech industry, then deep dive and highlight the key trends that are structuring that space, and obviously say a few words about what might happen next. So let's start with InsurTech investment worldwide. As you may have seen on that chart, this investment have been growing year to year, even last year in 2020, despite the current situation. There were a bit more than $7 billion that were invested, which was over 2019 figures. But what is the most impressive is that over the first half of this year, investment have been surging with $7.4 billion invested, which is over full year last year. So that's kind of crazy. Let's see if the second half of this year is as active. If you have a look at the European market, exactly the same, a surge in investment, as you can see on the right, over 1.7 billion euros were invested in InsurTech. Funnily, that's over 2020 and 2019 combined. In terms of deals announced, it's close to the full year 2019, so very strong activity across Europe as well, which is, I believe, very interesting for our industry. But let's put that into perspective and compare it with other fintech subvertical. So if you take the investment during the Q2, you can realize that InsurTech is close to 10% of fintech investment. So I believe it's quite interesting because that's one of the most important subvertical. But anyway, there is a lot of room for improvement, which I believe is the most attractive part of that market, and we believe that InsurTech might be the biggest subvertical in the coming years. So now let's have a look at the major trends that are structuring that space. So first thing first, and you may have computed it on your own before, a few deals are concentrating money. If you take the biggest round announced over the first half, WeFox, it's close to a third of all the money invested in InsurTech Europe. And if you take the two biggest round, WeFox and Bought by Many, it's half of the money invested in InsurTech Europe. Long story so short, you have very few numbers of startups that are raising a very big round, which I believe is interesting for InsurTech founders because they tend to believe that it's easy to raise money. I would say something slightly different. If you have figures, it's not that tough to raise money. But if you take a startup at early stage, then it's more challenging. I believe that very early, pre-launch, you can raise money because even bigger funds are investing smaller tickets in earlier startups just to take a bet and have a foot in earlier startups. But I believe that, so let's say it's below 2 million euros, but if you take the range 2 to 6, 7 million euros, then it's more challenging because you are supposed to have reached the product market fit, you are supposed to have delivered KPI, and if not, then it's challenging for startups. So I would not be too much focused on these figures, and keep in mind that obviously raising money is still a challenge for startup. That's the conclusion beyond these figures. Second trend, which has been true in a while, is that distribution, the distribution part of the value chain, is where most of the startup, most of the investment were done, with 58% of the rounds announced in distribution. But quite interestingly, it has been true since 2014. Since 2014, over half of the rounds were done in distribution. And then you have a mix of claim, underwriting, product. Time to time, you have a new full stack player that entered the game. It was the case, for instance, in France with Achille, a PNC player. But long story short, distribution is the most active part. But beyond the activity, we had this analysis not only on the first half of this year, but over 10 years of InsurTech across Europe. And we split it by business line, personal lines, commercial line, enterprise software, and alongside the value chain. Without any surprise, distribution is the most active part, especially distribution towards personal lines, with a lot of startups created in that space. That's the size of the bubble. Then the color, green to red, is, let's say, the successfulness of that part of the market. How many startups have raised money compared to how many have gone bankrupt? And here on distribution, it's red because there are way more startups that have failed, that have gone bankrupt, compared to how many have raised money. So obviously you see a lot of people starting in that space. There is a lot of activity, but the truth is that only few players are making it happen. That's something that we can see as well among unicorns, because since the beginning of this year, we've seen a few players in reaching the unicorn status, and again, there is only one B2C player. Otherwise, you have SaaS player like WeFox, Shift Technology, or Tractable, and you have even full stack player with Alan and Zigo. And when we are talking about InsurTech Europe, that's not only a buzzword, that's true. If you have a look at the number of rounds announced, 15 rounds were announced outside of the three biggest markets. So long story short, in Europe, there were as many, let's say, or close to as many rounds announced than in the UK, and a bit more than in France only or in Germany only. So if you are looking for InsurTech partners, obviously you can have a look at outside of the three biggest markets, because there tend to be not only copycat of the most successful startup, but you have strong teams, strong technology, and sometimes innovative product as well. So long story short, it's not only about your local ecosystem, but usually have a European view on the market. We believe that's where you could be the most active and the most and where you could get the most value from the ecosystem. So now let's say a few words about what might happen next. Obviously, that's what I believe based on what we see on the market, what the data are saying, or what might become hot next. First point, not new, I would say, it's embedded insurance. That's a buzzword. It was very hot topic over the first half of this year, but I believe that beyond the buzzword, beyond the announcement of startup entering that space, we will see more and more realization in that space, KPI, traction, and the proxy of that is Cover, that raised $25 million in the first half of this year, or WeCover. Disclaimer, we have invested in that Spanish company. They have announced a partnership with Fnac, which shows that big players, international players, are relying on InsurTech startup in that space, and I believe it will increase in the next months. Second trend is around new risks. New risk, obviously, you have poor, if not historical data. Not every corporate incumbent is offering this kind of coverage. Hence, I believe there is an opportunity for InsurTech startup to leverage new dataset or external dataset, build algorithm, and that's where they could be strong and even stronger than incumbents. We've seen that kind of trend with weather insurance. We start seeing it with cyber insurance. We have a glimpse of what might happen next with IT/cloud downtimes. We see it with data privacy, new way of working. Long story short, there are plenty of these kind of players and room for innovation, I believe, where technology could be helpful for the market and for incumbents as well. I believe that here there is a strong play in being, let's say, a B2B/enterprise software, enabling incumbents cover these risks. And last point, alongside the value chain, we believe, and that's what we are starting saying, that InsurTech are being more specific. Again, most of them are targeting distribution, but we see a few of them around claim, now around new risk, new product, targeting actuaries, targeting reinsurers, even on the underwriting part of the value chain. So we believe that the more the ecosystem is maturing, the more specific InsurTech will be, and they will become closer to the core engine of insurance. At least that's what I believe might happen next. Very happy to be challenged there, to get your views on what might be hot, and obviously happy to discuss everything, either live, I hope soon, or through social networks. Thanks a lot.